Hey guys, welcome to the Backlash Podcast. Lee Shapiro, Mike Biedenbow.
Episode number 3.
Yeah.
So we're, of course, excited today. We're going to have a good show. We're going to have Scott Ellis with Hunt Quest on here.
He does turkey hunt, doesn't he?
I don't know if he does turkey hunting or calling. They say he's actually a hunter.
I know. It's going to be fun, though.
It's going to be a blast. Roll.
Hey, welcome Backlash Podcast. Lee Shapiro, Mike Biedenbow,
Brought to you
Scott
by,
Ellis.
Brought to you by Trophy Takers Outdoors and Bartow Ford. Can't forget that.
Hey,
Our sponsors are what makes it happen.
Absolutely.
So we gotta
Absolutely.
keep it up.
Hey, I'm excited, Mike, because you know
really?
what? Right here.
This is like our first. It's our first big celebrity.
Exactly.
Oh, man. Well, whatever. I appreciate you guys. That's awesome. Glad to be here. Have a lot of history with the company.
Yeah.
Rob Kendrick is a great friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine. Mm-hmm. So it's great to be here and be in support of Trophy Takers and Bartow Ford. We appreciate you having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Scott, tell us a little bit about your background and how you started all this and, you know.
When you
It's a
became a
great
turkey.
story.
Yeah, when you became...
I was hatched about 1974, and my mom was a hen. I grew up squirrel hunting. I think many of us cut our teeth on squirrel hunting.
Yeah.
And that was my dad. My dad was not a huge outdoorsman in the sense of deer hunting and hog hunting and big game hunting. He was not that guy. But what he loved to do was shoot dove on dove fields, which is coming up in a couple weeks.
Who doesn't like that?
Oh my gosh. And squirrel hunting. And squirrel hunting taught me patience. Squirrel hunting taught me to get in the woods and be camouflaged and sit still for short periods of time, which is beautiful about squirrels, because squirrels, they have a very short attention span. So you can get a kid in there, which is wonderful. We're always trying to introduce kids to hunting. You can get them in there. If they can sit still for 10, 15 minutes, squirrels will start moving, and you can make the shot. You can bring home some table fare, and squirrels are really good eating people. I don't know if you've ever eaten squirrel, but I love eating squirrels. So that's what started it for me. Well, I've developed an obsession or a passion, whichever you want to call it, for hunting in general. And from there, I took it to duck hunting. My father and my uncle, who were instrumental in my hunting career, if you will, knew nothing about duck hunting. So we started reading magazines and reading articles, and I bought a duck call for about $4.
We didn't have social media.
No, there was no YouTube. There was nothing.
Exactly.
Nothing that we're all providing
this
informational platform to give people to learn from. So I read articles, and I go, well, it says quack, 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 quack. So I'm blowing a duck call. Quack, 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 quack. But the beautiful part is, when I got in the water and started getting in waders, and I started listening to ducks, we would hear the divers, we'd hear ringnecks, we'd hear Florida mallards, and we hear these ducks start communicating. And teal, a hen teal communicates with a quack just like a Florida mallard or many other puddle ducks do. So that started the communication with animals for me. And I started duck hunting before I turkey hunted. And I'm known for the turkey hunting thing, but ultimately, about 10, 11 years old, I started putting these mouth calls. We got them right here, folks. I brought some mouth calls along. But
We're
that's
gonna hear some later.
Absolutely. We got to run them. It's fall turkey season. It's bow season right now. So, but the turkey thing really started ingraining communicating with animals, because there's no other animal, whether it's a mammal or a fowl, that you can communicate with vocalizations like you can a wild turkey. You call to them, they answer you back. You know, you can buck hunt, you can grunt up a buck, you can bleat, you can rattle, but it's not as three-dimensional as a turkey, because turkey cannot smell. So a turkey, what he does is he communicates with hearing and vocalizations, and that's when I was enamored with the vocalizations of wild turkeys, and that from there went to more serious deer hunting, bow hunting, and into competition turkey calling, which is probably where I got my start in the industry, if you would. I won the Florida State back in 99, 2000, something like that, and that was all just a labor of love and learning how to up my game. Because guess what? I was hunting public land.
And
the better you sound, the more you sound like a turkey, the more you understand the vocabulary of the wild turkey, the better you become as a turkey hunter. So that's what set my bar to start learning the vocabulary of the wild turkey. And then I took it to another level in competition calling, and it just grew to writing, to videography, to learning to edit. And it just all come full circle. You know, the hunting industry, you have to be very, very well-rounded in all the facets of what we do to be successful and to be able to help other companies, to help promote the products that you're involved with, products that I believe in. And that's something that has become my call sign, if you will, for my position in the industry, I've always believed in presenting products that you use in the field day in, day out. Yeah. Lures, whether it's fishing, turkey calls, deer rounds, arrows, broadheads, optics, whatever. I've always believed in presenting and promoting things that you use yourself in the field, and that's done me pretty well.
Well, you start off, learning turkeys in Florida, which, in my opinion, I think that's the hardest one to.
Very, very. Yes, I agree.
Then you had public land on it.
Right.
Public land.
3 Lakes, Green Swamp, Richland. The listeners around in Central Florida area can go, oh, I've been there, hunted there. And yes, the Osceolas are probably the less vocal and the less call receptive and the more, you can overcall Osceola more than any other subspecies, whether it's Easterns, Osceolas, Rios, Goulds. But the Osceola is very hard to call, and you call more minimal. So the more realism you add to what you're doing in an Osceola format and in a public land format, the better you're going to do and the more success you're going to have. And that's what kind of propelled me to contest calling.
In your opinion, why do you think that is compared to an Eastern, a Merriam, or...
I think a lot of it is terrain. I think a lot of it is the cover here. Unless you're pasture bird hunting, you're hunting in fields. We have lots of cattle pastures in the state of Florida. But outside of that, you have thick swamps, cypress swamps. If you can find an oak hammock, that's always a plus, where it's a little more open. But I think it's because of, 1, hunt pressure, and 2, because of the fact the terrain doesn't allow them to, they can't see what they're hearing as well as the other subspecies in their terrain. And that's why I think they're less susceptible to calling too much to them. And that's why I love Osceolas. You got to be patient.
You do have to be patient, because you sit there and, like you said, you can overcall them, and then all of a sudden you hear nothing.
And they sit there and they're gone. Yep.
It's crazy. I want to talk about this because there is a true strand of Osceola.
Okay.
And I heard it's south of 60. Or what is it?
70.
70, south of 60.
Well, that's the line of demarcation for Florida. Right.
Yes. So is that...
The line?
The line, because I know they moved it all the way up to North Florida a while ago.
Yeah, Jacksonville to Gainesville.
Yes.
There you go. Jacksonville to Gainesville and south, technically by the NWTF standards, or is an Osceola turkey. I have killed turkeys in Punta Gorda that look like Easterns and weigh 21 pounds.
Really?
Punta Gorda, that far south.
Wow.
So it's a matter of, from what I gather the NWTF standards are now, Merriam's and Rio's the same. If he's white on his primaries and white on his secondaries, it's pretty much a Merriam. Whether it's in central Nebraska, whether it's in South Dakota, where every place that you deem a Merriam is part of their normal habitat, it doesn't matter exactly, because I've shot Nebraska Merriams that look like Rio Grandes, and I've shot Easterns in South Carolina that look like Osceolas. So I think what the NWTF, to my knowledge, has established is if it is what it resembles the closest. So the line of demarcation, I've killed them in Lake Butler that were black as buzzard wings.
Really?
Yep. Up right below the Gainesville area. Yeah. And then I've killed them in Punta Gorda that look like Easterns. And I've killed them right here in Polk County and Hardee County and Central Florida that were black as coal. And then I've killed others that looked like they would pass for an Eastern. So I think you literally, when you're on those close balance, those lines that are very close to where you have Easterns and you have Osceolas, I think whatever that subspecies looks like and resembles the most is what you're going to deem as your turkey, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, because like you said, an Osceola doesn't get very big.
Right. It's a great story. Go ahead.
So when you're hunting for these birds, because like you said, my first bird was way down south of 70.
Gotcha.
It was a long time ago, and that bird was skinny, but he was
black. Was he black? Perfect case in point. My son Jake Ellis killed his first Osceola. He was 6 years old in Ona, Florida. That turkey weighed 12 pounds. He had almost 1-inch spurs. They were hooked and sharp as a razor blade, and his primaries looked like buzzards. They were black.
Wow.
To me, the true quintessential Osceola is almost like a pygmy turkey.
Yes.
Yep.
The true. Now, you might get one that's a little blacker, that's not as black. He may weigh a little bit more, but the 12, I shot a bird in the bombing range, Avon Park bombing range, about in the early 2000s, 14 pounds. Of the 18 tail feathers, he had 12 because he had been fighting his butt off.
Wow.
Wings were black, spurs were 1.5 inches, and he weighed, 14 pounds. That was an Osceola turkey.
Oh,
yeah. So, and it was a little later in the season, and they obviously will breed and fight weight off. but I think that turkey was a true Osceola. So I think ultimately you get your trophy in your hand, no matter what it is. And if you're in Nebraska hunting Merriam's, if he's white, it's a Merriam. If you're in Oregon, Jake killed an Oregon Merriam, white as snow. The other bird absolutely. And then we went west where they supposedly transplanted Rios. He killed a beautiful caramel-colored Rio Grande. Mm-hmm. I think you just pick your bird up and look at him anymore and go, if he's black and he's dark and he has the characteristics of that particular subspecies, that's a turkey shot.
Right.
Now, and I'm not saying you're going to go to South Carolina and shoot a Rio Grande or Merriam, but you know what I'm saying.
Right. Yes.
Anywhere we're close to those lines of demarcation, you're going to get various subspecies. Yeah.
And we're going to talk about Jake and youth hunting because Jake has done some incredible things.
He's an animal.
Let me ask you this, because you're the turkey expert, and I'm the first one I'm going to sit here and tell y'all I've never killed a turkey.
We got to fix that, Mike. We got to fix that.
I went turkey hunting one time and I caught up a beautiful bobcat. He was.
Those are usually in season in the spring.
He was actually really nice. So the thing that's always happened with me is turkey season in the spring runs exactly with the bass spawn.
Yes.
So for me, my priority was always, all right, I'm going fishing.
There you go.
The funny thing was, back in 10, 15, 20 years ago, and this is what I want you can educate me on this. I didn't seem like I seen turkeys a lot. They were there, but it seems like now, anytime I go fishing on Lake Kissimmee, last year I saw a ton. I see them right here around Bartow Ford. Hear them. Yep. It seems like now, maybe it's just me where I'm spending
maybe
my time.
Maybe a little more cognizant of it, yet.
They're
everywhere.
There's a lot of birds everywhere. I mean, I drive from Winter Haven, to Bartow here sometimes, and there's a couple spots where there's turkeys on the side of the road here.
Absolutely.
And before, I don't remember seeing that. So is there more? You think there's more turkey now?
I think there are.
Yeah, I think so too.
What do you think, Lee?
Yeah, because honestly, because you and I work with FWC and we talk to them and do the programs and the conservation surveys and
WTF.
Yep. So I think personally, with the programs that they have now, it's helped tremendously, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, turkeys are popping up in places they haven't been where you and I were kids. I'm 45, and I grew up in Richland Manor, right here, not far from where we're at right now.
Yep, right
and I remember seeing a gobbler or two off of E.F. Griffin Road in the pastures out there as a kid, and then you wouldn't see any for years and years and years. And now my dad says he goes to Mary Holland Park in Bartow, Florida.
There's turkey there.
There's turkeys. He sees them all the time. So the work that the NWTF done in nature itself,
it seems like it's working.
Is working, and their birds are just reproducing.
I think so.
And they're finding a way to procreate.
Yeah,
it's that simple.
My wife, right near the subject, was in Ocala Sunday at her mom's house. Lives in almost downtown Ocala. She sends me a picture of a turkey in the driveway, and I'm like,
they're showing up everywhere. It's beautiful.
So it's kind of like deer hunting, because deer hunting to me right now is the golden age of deer hunting. We have more deer in the United States than we've had in a long time. We got bigger bucks. I read something the other day that more state records are getting broken every year now than they've been
consistently.
It used to take 30 years to break a state record. Now they break a state record in the average of like 5 years. So I think the turkey's the same way.
Absolutely.
Seems like.
And I hate to say trophy management, it's just age management.
Right, exactly.
It's age management.
You're right.
I like to use that terminology instead of going, well, because everybody gets on social media, well, that was a 2.5-year-old, why did you shoot that buck, blah, 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 blah. And I get that, but at the same time, it's simply the fact that people are letting the deer get older. And the older they get, their genetics may not be great at 2.5, but between 2.5 and 4.5, they could grow 30 inches. And that goes from a 60-inch deer to a 120-inch deer, especially down south in the southeast.
Especially in the southeast.
So let me ask you, we're talking about trophy deer, and let's go to trophy turkey. If you're managing your own land for turkey, what are you doing? What are you looking for, and what are you waiting for?
It's funny because people always talk about, and I'm gonna use this phrase loosely. There's too many hens. We should kill the hens. During archery season. Yeah. Well, you can't do that in Florida during on private land. You can on some management areas, which we were going to touch on that later. But the more hens that can lay eggs that are fertilized and hatch a brood, and rear them to adults, the more turkeys we're going to have. As far as trophy management, that's a very, very tight line. It's a gray area, because when I go to Kansas or Wisconsin, or this year I hunted South Dakota, Pennsylvania, if he has got a long beard and he's got a full fan, then he is fair game for me. But he might be a 2-year-old. But a 2-year-old in wild turkey terminology is a mature gobbler. It's not like a buck being 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5. So,
but in your opinion,
let the Jakes walk. Let the Jakes walk.
What's the Jake? What's the Jake limit? When does he turn 18?
At 2.5 years old, depending on how late he hatches in the season.
Gotcha.
He may be a year and 3/4.
Because you'll see those little Jakes that they have
nothing.
They have nothing. It's just poking out. So
and then you'll see some that are hatched. What it is they're hatched earlier, the prior year.
Gotcha.
So the following year they're actually a year and a quarter, as opposed to 2.25 years. It's so they're going to look a little bigger. And then I think after that it's just growth. It's just growth. I mean, it's their feed, it's their diet, it's what they eat, the protein.
Yeah.
Whether they're eating corn that's got the different growth supplements on it that we do for deer for antler growth, I think that helps wild turkeys too. So ultimately, let the Jakes walk. If you got a kid, if you got a first-time turkey hunter, you've never killed a turkey. If you and I are going to turkey hunt, kill the crap out of a Jake all day and every day. But if you've killed a bird, then it's not trophy hunting in turkeys.
No.
It's just shooting a mature bird, and that's only a 2-year-old or better.
Right.
So it's different than deer hunting. And I think if you just let the Jakes walk, you're going to do yourself great justice for your turkey population.
I think sometimes it's mostly of deer, because that's what I know about. I'm a bass fisherman and deer hunter.
Sure.
But with the deer and especially, sometimes we take the trophy thing a little too far.
I agree.
I get. It's bad when somebody posts a 120-inch deer and they get shamed on Facebook or Instagram. Why'd you kill that? This and that. Everybody's got their own trophy,
their own standards,
and their own standard. And it sometimes I think we take it. Oh, it's not a 140-inch. Well, some properties you're not going to get a 140-inch deer, 130-inch deer. So
time and opportunity, Mike.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Myself included. People think, oh, you probably get to hunt 57 places to deer hunt. I don't.
Right.
I'm going to Kentucky the first week of November, and I'm bow hunting. And we'll overlap that bow hunt on Saturday morning to rifle season. And my wife is going to pick up a rifle on rifle season.
Rifle season.
She wants
really
to
good
shoot
there.
one with her bow. We've been practicing all summer.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have a lot of opportunities. I go to Georgia on a really solid piece of property with a lot of 130, 140, 120 class bucks, and the Eastman area, which is South Central Georgia.
Right where my place in Georgia is.
Yes, exactly. Jacksonville, Green, same area. And that's like my 2 biggest hunts of the year. Now, we talked about a place that we had on some public ground that had some solid bucks on earlier and just in offline. But ultimately, it's about what that hunter deems as what they want to shoot. If you pull the trigger, be proud of that deer.
Be proud of it. That's what I try to tell everybody. Everybody's like, oh, should I shoot this? I said, dude, are you proud of that deer?
Yeah.
But it's sad because social media has ruined the romance of hunting for deer and whitetails.
I agree.
And I'm just saying this to everybody that's listening right now. If you shoot it, own it, and enjoy it.
And enjoy it. Have fun with it. Don't feel
Mount
ashamed
it, eat it, skin it, tan it, whatever you want to do with it, enjoy it. Don't let anyone discourage you from hunting how you want to hunt and the time that you have allotted, because nobody knows your story.
Nope.
Nobody knows my story, your story, your story.
You may get 3 days to go.
That's it.
Hey, but you know what? Remember the times when we first started and you seen that buck and you're just like, oh my God, I want to shoot that buck, but I got to wait or da-da-da-da-da. You know, like you guys said, shoot it, enjoy it, and remember, I got a small, my first buck was a small buck, and it's hanging in my wall.
Oh, definitely.
I'll never forget that day.
Yeah, I shot a 6-point my first one. That was a big, older, wobbly looking rack. Wasn't nothing beautiful. I'm as proud of that deer as I am any deer I've ever killed.
Anything you've ever killed.
And it was my first one.
Never answer to anybody else but yourself and God.
But I promise you, if I'd have put that deer on social media in today's times, people, what'd you shoot? You know, and it's just, you got to make it fun.
We have to band together, people. There's so many organizations out there to take our guns and our bows and everything that we do that we love, the legacy that we have learned to do as hunting.
And try to take our public land from us.
Yeah.
Stand together, band together. I don't care if you kill a spotted fawn or if you kill a 180-inch, 9-year-old buck in Kansas. It doesn't matter. Just embrace each other's success.
Yes.
And we're going to be in a better place. I don't care. But people get too caught up with their egos and their testosterone levels, and they want to argue and fight over how old it was, how wide it was, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that is not the direction we need to go. No. We have to band together in large groups of people with minute intelligence are very, very dangerous.
Yes. Well, you know, I mean,
they are.
Honestly, it's not a competition.
No,
it's not a competition at all.
Because
you're trying to create memories out there with our kids, ourselves, and everything else.
And it's an unlevel playing field.
Yeah.
Because the guy that gets the public land hunt over in the Green Swamp or at Richlone, If he
versus
versus a guy that gets to go to Kansas or up in the
Illinois,
Midwest, Illinois.
Kentucky.
I was blessed enough to get to go to Illinois year before last, and I'd never seen bucks like that on the foot. I hunt Georgia and Florida, and I'm looking around like, oh my gosh, look at this.
I'm going to shoot them all.
Oh, yeah. I was like, this is unbelievable. And so, but I don't get those same opportunities in Georgia or here when I hunt in Florida. So, I mean, what you deem as a trophy is what you got to be proud
here in your
of.
heart.
It's in your heart. And
That's
what you're proud of.
And piss on everybody else. That's all I can say.
Right.
And pass that on to our kids.
Yep.
And
that's what I teach my son.
And let's talk about your son, Jake. You know, very accomplished. I mean, this kid is amazing.
He's a killer.
He is a killer. He's a killer.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit how that all developed.
Same thing. I mean, it's the same story. It's awesome to think that my dad, even though he wasn't the diehard hunter, the obsessive hunter like I've turned into, the same stuff that my dad taught me, I taught Jake. We started squirrel hunting, and he was shooting the old Red Ryder BB gun.
I think we all had one of those.
We all did. Then he graduated to a little bit more powerful pellet gun that would actually kill a squirrel, and we started squirrel hunting. Then he went to a 410. He killed his first turkey at 6 years old with a 410. With my 410, that was my dad's 410.
Wow.
It's a Marlin Model 60, but not the Marlin Model 60-22, a Marlin Model 60 410 bolt action.
Nice.
50 years prior to the Marlin Model 60-22. So that it started from there, and then he kind of followed in Dad's footsteps with the competition turkey calling thing that I've done. Incidentally, last weekend, fellas, I don't think you shared. I shared this with you. I won my 10th Florida State title in Bonifay.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
I think
Nice, congratulations.
very, very cool. Sorry, not trying to brag. But anyways, and he followed my footsteps, and he liked that for a minute or two. And at a point, he was 10 years old. It was the Pulse division in Nashville, at the Grand Nationals, the Super Bowl. Yeah. And he did not place running mouth calls. So I always pushed air mouth calls. As we know what are mouth calls, to Jake as he was a kid, and because a lot of the kids were running box calls and pot calls, and they were winning, and they were being successful, but I wanted Jake to win everything as a Polt, which is from 3 to 10 years old with air calls. Well, when he got there, he lit it up as best as he could. We practiced with air, and he didn't even place. And the kids that beat him were with box calls and push pins, and it was like they're not giving him a point because of the degree of difficulty of a mouth call for a 5 or 6 year old kid.
Yeah.
So what did we do? We do what Dad did and has learned to do for 20-something years of competition call. We played the game. I said, let's run that Woodhaven Real Hen box call and get your purr pot out. And with those 2 calls, he created all the sounds he needed. And he wins at his last year at 11 years old. Jake wins the Grand National Pulse division.
Wow.
Nice.
Caveat to that, well, Dad, I'm retiring.
Why not quit while you're on top?
He went out on top, and he hasn't called since, and I love him for that.
Yep.
He's gotten big into tournament bass fishing, so you can appreciate that, Mike. And got some UF scouts. He's 13. He's got some scouts at UF that's looking at him.
That's awesome.
And he's in the outdoors. He still loves to hunt. He still loves to hunt turkeys. He didn't follow the competition thing any further, but he's learned to be an accomplished hunter. I taught him patience and to be still, but not to be redundant and not to be overpowering at a young age. We would sit for 20 minutes, we'd get up and we'd walk. We'd sit for 20 minutes, we'd get up and walk. I handed him a box call, he's scratching on a box call. So, talking turkey hunting and getting kids involved with turkey hunting, don't put them in a pop-up and give them their PSP. This is my opinion.
Yep.
Right.
Teach them to be still. Teach them to hunt. Teach them the art of stealth. Yep. Teach them the art of a little bit in little doses. Don't overdo it, because if you overdo it, you're gonna kill their.
Same as fishing.
Yeah,
it's like catching bluegill with a bobber.
Your story
versus
with your son's the exact same with mine with my son.
In fishing.
And
Right.
it just parallels the fishing thing.
Give them a little bit. Give them a little bit. Keep them engaged and keep them interested. And now he'll sit for 6 hours. Yep. He will sit for as long as he needs to sit in a deer stand, or setting up on a turkey in the woods, and he's learned patience. So there's nothing wrong with getting kids in the woods any way you can. Now, let me reiterate that. Let me reiterate that. But at the same time, the pop-up blind in video games, while they're in the pop-up blind, isn't always the answer if you're really wanting to create a lifelong sportsman. Because what I found, this is just my personal opinion, those are the types of kids that they'll enjoy it for a time or two, and they might even shoot a turkey out of a blind while they're running their video game. But those aren't going to be the kids that learn the art and the sport and
carry
the legend and carry it on. So
carry it on.
But get them out there any way you can.
Yep.
Please, folks, don't think I'm trying to shun any way of hunting, that you're getting your kids in the outdoor, fishing with a bobber, fishing with a bass bait or a buzz bait, or in a pop-up blind, or sitting on the base of an oak tree. Just get them involved, period, and it's going to be...
And me and Lee will tell you, we both, as far as this podcast and the fish, we've done fishing seminars here at Bartow Ford for kids.
Yep.
That's one of our biggest things we want to promote and push is the future, because these young up-and-coming people are the ones, they're going to have to take care of these resources when we're done.
Yeah.
And that's what they are. They're all resources.
And licenses have been plummeting in the last 10 to 12 years.
Especially with hunting.
Right.
I mean, and that's the shame of it. Is fishing's really taken off youth-wise. You got the high schools teams. You got, college now. It's really taken the next level. We need to bring hunting to the same.
But you know what? And that's what's important. That's why you and I are doing this, because it's getting to that point. It's getting to that point where if we don't do something and keep promoting this, you know what I mean?
In 20, as few as 20 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to be going, do you like to deer hunt? Well, no, I like to play video games.
Yes. Yep.
You know, and that's what you're going to find. And that's sad but true.
And, the thing, there's some challenges. Land.
Yeah.
Getting a place to hunt.
Yeah.
It can be tough. If, I'll put myself in my son's position. He's a little older than your son. My son's 21, so he's kind of been through the deal. If it wasn't for me having the place in Georgia I've got to go, what would he do to hunt? Where would he go?
Quota permits and just tearing it up on public land.
Yep. So that
and Florida's tougher than a lot of places.
It is.
Yes.
There's a lot of great shows and a lot of great platforms right now. Meat Eater with Steve Ranella.
Steve's amazing.
The Hunting Public.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that's really promoting the
Cameron
public
Haynes
land.
Is great.
Right, promoting the public land angle, but unfortunately in the South it's a little bit harder.
A lot harder
to get on those places and to be successful than those guys are out west. There are millions of acres of public land out west. We know this.
Yep.
So all we can do is try our best to promote what we're doing at the Green Swamps and the Rich Swamps and the Three Lakes and the Crooms and the Bull Creeks, and get people interested in loving the outdoors at a very young age, and then hopefully they carry it on.
So they'll fight for it, because there's places here in Florida that are public owned. Me and you own them. We all own them here.
We're public land owners.
That they don't let people hunt.
Yeah.
Because of
Swift
the
mud.
Swift mud.
Yeah.
And that's a shame, because those are. I talked to a game warden who worked at a couple of those facilities that are like they're overran with hogs.
Oh,
they're overran
the
with deer, and they're telling me they're to a nuisance. But yet I said, well, why don't they do like a quota hunt there or something? No, they don't allow hunting.
Legislation.
Yeah,
that's where
and that's the battle we're fighting. Especially, like I say, for our youth and for the next generation.
And I'm not very versed in this next statement I'm going to make, but I know that the state has these meetings that are down in West Palm. They're in Tallahassee.
Yeah. Yep.
It's hard for the working man to get to them, but there are meetings that are set up for the public to engage the FWC, to provide their opinions and what they think is right and wrong. I've done. If you get a survey from the FWC, fill it out. Take 5 minutes. I did like 4 of them.
Yep.
There's one out right now.
I get them on fishing all the time.
There's one out right now. I did like 12 different management areas. I don't even hunt these places, but I tried to think what was best for the hunter and what was best to prolong the legacy. And I hate to say the sport. I don't like the sport of hunting. The legacy. that we know as hunting. That has made us better people for what we are, and taught me a lot of life lessons that I'll never ever forget hunting.
It's
fishing.
Funny you say that about a sport, because everybody used to always say hunting's a sport, and I never.
There's no score.
Hunting is hunting.
Hunting is hunting. There's no score, right?
There's no score. It's not.
Exactly.
It's not a sport.
Yeah. It's not a sport.
There's success and failure, but there's not. It's not a. It's by
there's
far
no score.
And a success to me doesn't mean a kill.
No,
me
it's
and
a
Lee
memory in
went to
the
Kentucky
woods.
last year. Some of my best memories, because we froze our butts off. It snowed on us.
It
snowed and laughed, had a good time.
It had a sterno lamp sitting at the base of the tree.
We got to stay at cool places. We saw
and ate great food.
And I never even lifted my bow off the rail. And to me, that was a successful trip. I had a blast.
That's what we have to teach our young.
That's exactly what you do.
Making memories. It's making memories.
It is. You see these people that just, oh my God, I got to shoot something this year. I got to shoot. No, you don't. You don't have to do that.
Nope.
Just create them memories. Go out
Take
with your buddy.
pictures.
Take pictures. You
Eat
know.
Who
great
doesn't like
food.
being at deer camp? Be honest.
I know, right?
Sitting around the fire.
Communist.
Can I
say that?
There are some cold snacks get drank.
Hey, there's some bullcrap talk and lies told.
Yeah, I've heard that.
There's nothing better. With your family, with your friends.
Yes.
Yeah, with your friends, it doesn't
I've
matter.
been known to have a few nights where you don't even get up the next morning.
That happens.
You know
It
what? To me, that's still a successful hunt. I had a good time.
The wind's wrong.
I can't get to my stand this morning.
It's too dark. The
Yeah.
snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the wind's wrong.
Yeah.
It's always the wind's wrong. Just remember that one. Just
I'm gonna use that. But yeah, I mean that's the part of our
The
passion
legacy.
for that that we got to pass on.
I like that, the legacy. The legacy sounds really good, you
It
know,
really
because
does.
we think about it, and it's just like I said, we got to pass this on down to our kids.
it'll go away.
Yeah, if not, it's going to happen. I'm telling you.
Yep.
And before we're dead,
Yes.
we're dead. I'm 45.
Yep.
Mike, you're
I'm not saying. No, I'm
Lee.
50.
I'm almost
I turned
48.
50.
So we're from the 40s to the 50s.
Yeah, we're in that-
our lifetime.
Yeah.
This will go away.
It can.
Or it'll be so
definitely can.
diminutive that we won't even realize. Yeah, there's nobody out really hunting anymore. What?
Yeah.
Oh, you go deer hunting?
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah.
And you know it's funny, but I was listening to another podcast because obviously you listen to stuff, and I had Luke Bryan. I heard one with him the other day, and Luke feels the same way we do, and he was talking about. He was saying he'd have people come up to him in Hollywood or this and that, and say, "Luke, I'm a hunter too." Like they're ashamed of it.
Oh gosh.
You got to be proud of it.
Be proud.
Be proud out
loud
there.
and proud, brother,
Yep.
and be loud and proud.
Yep.
If people hate you, then we don't
So
have
be
time
it.
for these people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
I'm
Exactly
sure.
right.
I'm sure you
And-
got.
and
I'm sure you got a couple calls with the deer head on the back of my truck, though.
And that is a great point. Sorry to derail here, but there's a lot of people, Aldine, Luke Bryan,
Yeah. Oh,
the
huge.
Duck Commanders,
Yep.
that have garnered just global popularity.
Yep.
And I think the ones that we have to, and this is a sidetrack, we could talk about this for an hour. The ones that we have to engage are the non-hunters.
Yeah.
That's the ones we really
exactly
have to go.
right. Yeah.
I don't care if somebody hunts, but I don't do it. Well, take a second to invite that person
Yeah.
if you have a piece of property, or take
Yep.
them out to Green Swamp or Three Lakes. The non-hunters, the anti-hunters are a lot harder to turn our way. That's the PETA folks. That's the people
Yep.
that,
Yes.
that don't, the vegans that don't believe in, well, not necessarily vegans, people that don't believe in
Believe in-
harvesting or
Yep.
killing an animal,
Yep.
even though you're using for sustenance and you're feeding your family.
It's not. They're not educated.
Right.
They're
Just-
not educated.
Exactly.
They need to know what is going on,
Yep.
because if we don't do something about, these overpopulated deer, hogs, everything,
What?
it's good for.
Urban deer hunting,
Yes.
yeah, urban deer hunting. The places, like you said, nuisance animals, nuisance turkeys.
Yep.
They're places where all of these animals are at such a level that if human human interaction doesn't occur, then they become a problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are the people. I mean, if we were to blanket the pro hunting coalition, it would be to find those places. There's hunting shows about urban deer hunting with
yeah.
bows.
If you watch Seek
hunting
One,
in-
Seek One's amazing.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Oh,
but
dude, Seek One, they go
they're in
suburban
towns, but
areas.
they're shooting bows and arrows.
and they
right.
shoot 170-inch deer
Those
in
are the people
downtown
we have,
Atlanta. I mean,
exactly.
it's amazing.
Those are the people we have to educate and get them involved.
Yep.
The non-hunters, the anti-hunters are harder to turn, but the
Yeah.
non-hunters are the ones that we need to engage.
Yep.
And that's the thing. Once they learn,
Yep.
they go, wow.
Or you cook a good piece of venison
Yeah,
for
that's
them.
it.
Exactly.
Don't ever cook it.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot to cooking wild game.
There is.
There's a lot to it. That's probably another whole podcast.
It is.
I've got some good
But
recipes
you know,
myself.
it's funny. The protein, the cleanness of that meat, the stuff
Organic,
like that.
organic.
That's-
It's
that's
wonderful. I mean, it really
people
is.
love that word
You know,
nowadays.
oh, yeah.
Organic. It's
Oh, yeah.
it's organic.
But nothing's more than a deer.
A
out
wild,
there.
yeah, a wild
And
turkey, a
wild
deer,
turkey, you got it,
quail,
you know, and I don't-
dove.
And
Yeah,
there's
squirrels.
a lot of people that probably haven't done it, but you go and you skin a deer. Look how red and
beautiful.
rich and
It's beautiful.
lean that meat is compared to what you go buy at the store. What's been fed.
Nothing compares.
Yeah, and
Nothing
nothing
compares.
compares. I mean,
So do yourself a favor, people. If you cannot cook, learn to cook
Yeah.
wild game.
yes.
Exactly.
And number one rule: don't overcook it. That's
Yeah.
the one number.
You're
Whether
right.
it's duck or dove
Whatever
or
it is.
quail or turkey or deer,
Yep.
just leave it a little undercooked. You will
doesn't
blow
look like
people's
beef.
mind. Yes.
Because that backstrap,
Oh,
it's
I
like
ate
a
it rare.
filet mignon.
a tenderloin.
I'm a rare eater, so
Yeah.
whether it's
Or-
duck or dove, pink and red and rare, that's me. But now I'm not telling that to people that might not eat that. But the number one killer for people that might want to try a piece of venison is what?
Too done.
Overcooked.
Yeah,
there you go. Yep.
And it's easy to do because people want to cook it just like you do a steak or like you do a hamburger. It's not the same.
Not me.
It's just not.
No, I eat mine bleeding, but sorry.
Yep.
But or even just a pink, a pinkness.
Yeah, because I had a Florida mallard a couple of years ago. That let me tell you something. We wrapped it in bacon, and I'm telling you, my kids and I were just amazed because that was the first time.
Did you leave it pink?
Yes.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
People don't understand how good. I'm freaking hungry right now.
Let's go cook. Fire the grill up.
Let's get back to turkey.
Yeah, or whatever. Or deer.
What makes a good? Because, like I said, you're talking to an A1 rookie here, turkey hunt. What makes a good turkey caller? What is the difference between you, who's just won everything, compared to the guy who's in 28th place?
Perfect answer. Understanding the language of the wild turkey and being able to communicate with them with the sounds they make. I can do a quick rundown while we're bullcrapping here.
Okay.
And two, it doesn't have to be a competition level, but it's understanding the sound, like I just said, and being able to recreate it on demand. Cluck and purr, kiki run, cutting, fly down cackle, plain yelp, assembly yelp. It's all about being able to master the call, whether it's a mouth call, whether it's a pot call. I didn't bring any pots or box. But master that one call. Learn to create as many calls as you can on that one call. And then understanding what to say to that gobbler when you need to say it. It's a conversation. You're creating this illusion that there's a hen hiding behind a tree that is really, really hot, and she's very pretty. Okay, hot and
ready
pretty.
To go on a date.
And that the gobbler can't resist her. You guys are great. I love this improv. It's awesome. That's what we're trying to do. You're enticing him. And now, granted, the more successful and the more experienced you become in creating the sounds, the more realistic that you can become with a mouth call, a box call, a pot call, a tube call, a pushman. And the more that you can understand the rhythm of the wild turkey and when to say it, and the right time to say it, that's when you start becoming successful. It's a cat and mouse game. Generally, on any wild turkey other than a Merriam or a Gould's, less is more. Easterns, Rios are on the end of it, but Easterns and Osceolas, and then you got Rios and you got Merriams and you got Gould's. Osceolas start with what we touched on earlier, an hour ago, however long we've been talking. Less is more with an Osceola.
Okay.
Soft clucks, soft yelps, they're more susceptible to being overcalled than any of the other subspecies, in my opinion. And I've killed 5 Grand Slams, and I've killed 2 Royal Slams, and 3 single season slams, and I've killed a lot of turkeys. And I like to think that I can speak on the different subspecies, and their personalities are slightly different. But ultimately, less is more, and then you only raise that level of excitement and more calling when you need to, because he doesn't start coming to you.
Right.
Base what you're doing on his forward progressing. If you're being very coy and shy, and you're clucking and purring and soft yelping, and he's coming, you never have to do anything else. But if he hangs out there, then I might start cutting a little bit more aggressive and getting more excited and showing that I'm more willing. So I start getting more excited. Then he starts closing the distance. Then he might shut down again, and that's where I may go quiet. Osceolas pop up out of nowhere. They never say a word.
Yes.
That's another level. I'm talking if you're actively engaging a turkey.
Okay.
He's gobbling, he's coming. Now, if you're blind calling and you don't have a bird you're talking to directly, you're having a conversation with, then dude, just sit there and call and keep your eyes and your ears perked and be listening for spitting and drumming and be listening for walking in the leaves, and just that's a different situation than when you're actively engaging one and you're communicating with the call. Because I've killed a pile of turkeys all over the country, never engaging one. He just shows up and you're like, oh crap, there's a gobbler right there. And that's a different game. But forward progression, if he's gobbling, he's answering you actively. And so
let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, let's just do some fun stuff here. I mean, obviously it's fall turkey season.
Well, talk about your calls real quick just before you do that, and just to let them know how it works.
Okay, so this is a Woodhaven. This is a cutter style call. Okay, it's a Ninja cutter. This is a side cut call. It's a piece of aluminum with some surgical tape and latex reed stretched, and it has different tensions, different cuts all across the board. So, gosh, this can get very long-winded. I'm trying to So, you got a bird. We're trying to talk about the bird that you're engaging,
Right.
not the bird that slips in quiet. You don't even know he's there. We're just going to say he's
Well,
gobbling.
you already heard gobble.
Yeah.
Right. So you're set up on him. You get close as you can to him without bumping him. And then you're going to, if it's on the roost, okay, right at daybreak, you're out hooting. You're out hooting. Oh, he gobbles. Okay, so then I'm going to set up. I'm going to tree call to him. And a tree call is a soft call. Hens are waking up on the limb. All you're doing is signifying that I'm a hen, I'm over here. And I don't like to do it too much because I don't want him to think I'm on the ground already in the dark. So I'm just going to talk to him real soft and do some bubble clucks. And I'm going to sound like this. And that's a tree call. Just a very soft yelp. Hey, I'm over here. Okay, so the sun starts coming up. It's about fly down time. So if I have my wing with me, which I always do, I'm going to give what's called a fly down cackle. And a fly down cackle just is signifying she's flown down. Now, granted, this is a beautiful conversation piece. It's a whole nother podcast next spring if we want to get together. But turkeys, we all know their hearing is absolutely second to none. So I've always questioned, when I'm giving a fly down cackle sitting at the base of a tree like this with my shotgun, he's up there, that gobbler can hear it. He can hear, so maybe he thinks she cackled across the creek. I don't know exactly, but you're trying to signify to that gobbler that a hen is flying down. And it starts with a couple tree calls, some bubble clucks, and she flies down, and this may be loud, so I'm going to back this off. So, and she starts to get a little more excited. The whole time I'm going to flap a wing or a hat on my arm and signify wing beats. So that basically said the hens hit the ground. And then from there, back off of him, let him fly on the ground, let him fly down from the roost, and that's where the game begins. If you keep calling to him and he's up there gobbling in all his glory, he's thinking every hen in the world's hearing him gobble, so they're going to try. He's going to sit there and gobble and try to get the birds to come to him. The hens, not the birds, but the hens. So that's where I just let him. I kick back, take a little snooze, sip on some coffee, and wait for him to hit the ground. Once his feet hit the ground, then I start re-engaging him and doing what we talked about, whether I'm going to cut to him, whether I'm going to get aggressive to him, whether I'm going to cluck and purr, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so you got to that point, and that is a great analogy from you're trying to bring him down.
Right.
Okay, his girlfriend's down there, and he's on her.
It's great.
Are you going to pull him off of that?
Most of the time, no. Here, I love this question. I've done this a lot. This is my dissertation. Remember this. If he has hens with him, that there's going to be two types. The boss hen that he has in that harem, there's generally going to be more than one. There's going to be a boss hen. She is in charge of the business more than he is. That hen is going to have one of two types of personality. She's either going to be really coy and shy and not confrontational, the type of girl, or she's going to be the one that gets in your face and wants to fight and wants to be aggressive. Okay, here's the beauty of talking to them. Never, ever, ever start the conversation challenging either one of them.
Gotcha.
You're being sociable. Yeah. So, and I'll demonstrate what I'm going to do. If she yelps to me, I'm like, oh crap, he's got hens. So we're gonna pretend that we heard a yelp. I'm like, oh crap, she's got hens with her. Okay. So I'm going to do is talk basically the same type of conversation back. I'm going to be real civil. Hey, what's up, girl? I'm not going to be confrontational. I don't want to challenge her and start a cat fight right off the bat. Because if it's the coy, shy hen and you're talking real soft and sweet, that's just simply saying, hey, what's up, girl? Nothing aggressive. She might go, hey, I ain't seen you in 2 weeks. What's up, girl? And she may start wandering over. If it's you start off too aggressive and start cutting and getting aggressive with that coy type personality of that boss hen, like so, cutting and really fast yelping, she's getting nasty, she's getting ugly. Now, if that's that coy hen that don't want any confrontation, what's she going to do?
Roll.
No. Okay.
So you're not actually pulling him off. You're inviting
You're talking to the girls.
Gotcha. You're pulling.
You're gonna fit
Yeah.
in. I like it.
And it all starts with soft, civil. Who wants to walk into an argument?
Yeah.
Yep.
Any day of the week, one of your employees, one of your camera guy, whoever,
Yeah.
who wants to, what are you doing? I don't like your work. You suck. Who wants to walk into that?
Yep.
Nobody. So you just say, hey man, how's it going?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, come on over, let's have a chat. And that's what you do to the hens. Now, if the hen, we get that nasty, aggressive, challenging, confrontational hen, and you yelp real soft and coy, and she starts getting nasty with you, guess what? Then
Raise it up.
you can raise your game up. This is the best dissertation you'll ever hear talking to hens, because what have you heard about wanting to talk to the hens? What's the one thing, Lee, you've heard over the years, over and over again? I heard that hen.
Yeah.
I heard that hen. She was yelping and cutting. What did you do?
Same.
I started yelping and cutting back at her. And if she was that coy one, she turned and she walked the other way.
Yeah.
Every now and again, that works. And you get that dominant, aggressive, confrontational hen. And that does work. But your odds are higher if you start soft and start calm and cool and civil, and then raise your level of excitement, only if she does. And then that's how you pull the hens over and lead him in tow. And I can't tell you the turkeys.
Especially an Osceola.
Yeah, well, well, Osceola hens tend to be really mouthy. They tend to be really mouthy. So yeah, but any of them, Rio's,
Kinda
Easterns.
like Florida girl song.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I've been married for 14 years. So I can't say anything about that.
I've been married for 30 and she's a little lippy. So.
Well, I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
Here's my most successful time when I hunt. I'll do the whole early morning thing. I'll do my scouting, check everything out, but I don't leave early.
Okay.
10 o'clock. It seems like every time I wait, I get one coming in.
Magic happens. Absolutely. And I think a lot of that is simply he's either breeding hens and he comes off hens, or they're nesting and they come off him and go lay or sit.
Gotcha.
Depending on the time of the season. And when they do that, he's by himself, looking for love in all the wrong places.
Dirty son of a gun.
Dirty gobbler. Yep. And that's why and I don't even like to talk about this to a lot of people. You know what I mean? Because that's very, very successful. Patience.
Yes.
I don't care what titles I've won or you've won or patience kills a lot of turkeys. And that's the old school way. Yeah, whether it's deer or squirrel, whatever. Just sitting still and being still kills a lot of game. And then you throw in some turkey calls and yelping and some cutting or whatever sounds you make will kill a lot of turkeys. Just being patient.
Old timer down south that got me into turkey hunting. He'd sit in his blind and read and just sit there.
And he'd probably go.
That's it.
He set his call down. And then he'd sit and read.
Yeah.
He set his calls down. Yeah, and they will kill turkeys.
Yep.
He was putting himself in a good position that probably where he knew turkeys were and where he saw turkeys.
Yep.
And then he put just enough sound out there to make something happen, to control his destiny just a little bit. And that's the beauty, and I'll end it with this because we've been rambling about turkeys, and it's fall, but we can do some kiki runs and stuff for fall hunting. But that's the beauty of three-dimensional turkey hunting is not only you can add that patience factor and set, but you start putting the sounds out there and communicating with that bird. And it's another level of success that it's another advantage that we're giving ourselves if you just learn a little bit about it. But the fall hunts, I mean, I can touch on it real quick. You're going to do some assembly yelps. If you're fall turkey hunting in Florida, it's offered on private land and on a lot of the WMAs. You can shoot hens with bows right now.
Yeah.
I think Green Swamp. I don't quote me on this, people, but there's a lot of WMAs in Florida. You can shoot hens and gobblers. That's the only time.
Right.
And private, I don't think is one of them, but. Remember this, during the fall, you have your jakes and your jennies, which are first-year hens and gobblers, and you have your brood hens. And the brood hens are the mamas, and they're together. And then sometimes you'll get the jakes to break off into a flock, and they'll hang together in gaggles, and then you'll have your mature gobblers that hang out together. So I'm going to run through mature gobbler yelps, which is a deep, slow yelp. I'm going to do some jake and yelping and some kiki running, and I'm going to do some assembly yelping, which is what hens do when they're looking for their young if they're scattered apart. So a gobbler yelp, take your box, your pot, your mouth call. If you're running a mouth call, take all the tongue pressure off, and it's like a dog barking almost.
Oh, really?
Yes. So you're going to cluck real deep, open your mouth up, create a sound chamber, real deep. real deep, real slow. Now I'm going to go to a hen yelp so people can hear how close a basic hen yelp is going to be that you're going to use in the fall. Hear the difference? How literally it's a jake or a gobbler, and then you have your kiki run, which is what the young birds are doing, jakes and jennies, which are first year gobblers and hens, and they kiki run, and it's the whistle of the young turkey. When turkeys are born, you'll hear them when they're, if you've ever played with poults, that's what they do all day. Well, as they get older and older and older, their whistle gets prettier and it gets louder and it gets louder and longer, and then all of a sudden one day they hit puberty. And whether it's guy or the girl, and their voice matures, and they can yelp with that whistle.
Right.
And this is what a kiki run sounds like. And that's a kiki run. You'll use that a lot in the fall to call a whole flock of birds up in the fall. So I just want to touch on a little bit because we're trying to cover.
No, I've always heard the expression, let's talk turkey.
Exactly.
This is really it.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
So what? One more question, because this is they call them hung up. They're hung up.
Yeah.
All right. So what are they hung up, and how do you get them out?
I think they hang up simply because they're stubborn. Remember, 9 out of 10 times. Now, gobblers will go to hens they hear yelping and carrying on in the springtime because they're looking for love, they're looking to breed, they're looking to procreate. But as a whole, gobblers gobble and strut to do what? Why do they do that? What they do?
You got showing off?
Showing off to draw the hens to them. And there's never more of a true statement than that. I mean, they do that and they wait for the hens to come to them. So, especially Osceolas, and Easterns are a close second. The more you call, the more you say that you're willing and able, the more that they sit there and gobble and strut and show off as hard as they can and wait for you to come to them, because they know in their mind, well, I'm the biggest, most beautiful monarch in the woods right now. Why are you not coming to me? And I'm and I'm drumming. You're spitting and drumming. Ow! And I'm gobbling. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, but you're standing out there looking at me and yelping and yelping. What's your deal? What's wrong
with you, girl?
What is wrong with you? Come to me. Come to daddy. So when that happens, shut it down. And if that doesn't work, then go to clucking and purring and the soft stuff and simulating a hen feeding. If you can scratch in the leaves or grab a limb, obviously without bumping your bird, and you can add a little bit of turkey sounds, like we talked about the hat with the cackle. If you could and do that while you're scratching the leaves. But again, obviously you don't want to bump the turkey, but if you can add that next level of realism. And what I equate it to is the hen was, so you were talking nasty to her. You were talking mad BS to her, okay? You're really talking nasty and sexy to this gobbler, and then you go, and I'll start, you're doing all this, and you're just going back to feeding, and you're not paying him any attention. If you can do that, a lot of times it absolutely runs. It's a mind screw. Sorry.
All right, so
they're not so far from guys.
Yeah,
no, not at all. Not at all. Absolutely.
All right, so I lied. I got one more.
We got to do this again
this
spring.
I'm telling you. Because, run and gun. I mean, you're calling, you hear him gobbling, and you're like, oh my God, where is he going? I mean,
what is he doing? Probably following hens if he's leaving.
He's
right,
leaving.
Right. Okay.
So, running and gunning.
Okay, so I'm 45. I'm gaining some weight. I'm getting a little bit out of shape. I'm not as spry as I used to be. And I will tell you, when I was in my 20s and 30s, we'll call it late 30s, now I'm in my 40s, the older I get, and it's not because I'm completely lazy, but what I will say that I've learned, when I was a young fella, and I've been hunting turkeys since I was 12 or 13 years old. So when I was young and full of piss and vinegar, I guess I can say that, buddy, I would run and gun, and I would cover as much ground as I possibly could. I'm trying not to get long-winded on this because this is a good dissertation. And what you're doing when you're covering all this ground, you're here, you're there, you're marching, stop. You're looking for the gobble, you're cutting, you're yelping, you march over here for a quarter mile, you march over here, and you're covering all this ground. And if you find the needle in the haystack, that hot gobbler that wants to play, then you set up on him, you try to call him in and kill him. Well, that worked, and I had some success over the years doing that. As I got older and started really understanding turkeys, I go, wait a minute. You mean that I can actually go sit on this tree right here and sit here. And these turkeys, what are turkeys doing if they're doing anything all day long? What are they doing?
Scratching around, eating, aren't they?
They're moving. They're always moving. They're moving. They're feeding. The gobbler's following the hens. If I sit right here and I start yelping every 10 minutes or so, cutting and yelping every 10 minutes, and birds are, and you're in a target-rich environment. You're in a place where you know there's birds.
Yep.
The birds are slowly drifting through. They're drifting through from all directions, and you can touch them depending on the wind. The wind can always play a factor if it's really windy. If it's really windy, I love to set up facing downwind, so that way that my sound is carrying way out this way, and I can sit there and cover more ground over extended periods of time by sitting in one spot. And what I think ultimately happens is a gobbler's over here, and you're set up on this tree right here, and you're cutting and yelping, and he looks and he picks his head up. Okay, well, that was pretty, but yeah, that's not my type. And then he comes over here, and then you cut and yelp again 5 minutes later. You know what? I don't have any hens with me right now. And then you do it that third time. What I think inevitably happens is you pique his interest. I've written articles about this for Florida Sportsman and a bunch of magazines. It's called piquing his mood or striking an interest in his mood. And what that ultimately does is I think he finally goes, man, I think I need to go see her. He gobbles, and then he ends up coming in. You strike him. You never move from that setup that you were started at 2 hours prior to that. And you've effectively covered a broader range of property because the birds are in a path to your sound.
Right.
They're within earshot. They finally come within earshot. As opposed to here. You're not covering near as much ground.
Right.
Not covering near as much ground. And a lot of times they won't gobble. I can't tell you the times that I've bumped turkeys. You walk around the curve and a gobbler's running down the road and he never said a word.
Yep.
If you were set up stationary and quiet, but calling, quiet meaning not rustling around in the bushes, but you're calling, that bird may have came in quiet and never said anything, but you probably would have spotted him and he would have created a shot.
Right.
Which is exactly what you said earlier when they come in quiet.
Yep.
So all I'm saying is the runner and gunners, I got respect for you. I still do it. If I base my running and gunning on my morning hunt. If I hear a pile of birds on the roost, they fly down. I'm hearing birds gobbling in the distance. They're gobbling on their own. I'm not crow calling. I'm not hawk screaming. They're just that'll be a time when I put the legs under me and I start covering some ground because there's so many. You're hearing spring unfold.
Yes.
But when you hear one here, one there, you know they're there. They hit the ground. And it's dead silence, I'm going to slide right into a little comfortable spot, get my bologna sandwich, and go to work, and I'm going to kill me a turkey.
Well,
sorry for the long-windedness on that.
Let me ask you this, because like I said, I'm learning. This is like
well, I
turkey
appreciate
101 for me, because I just don't have a history on this. If somebody's like me, and they want to start learning this, how do we go about doing that? I mean, I know there's YouTube probably. There's stuff.
Yeah, I've got a YouTube channel. I've got Hunt Quest, my show.
Yep.
Which is great. I mean, and that's really, Mike, to be honest with you, to say to Scott, this is where you want to learn. I mean, he teaches you exactly what you need to know.
Well, he made this into something I never possibly
it's
imagined.
Three-dimensional. It's really more three-dimensional than yelp, gobble, gobble, gobble.
Yeah.
You know, it's really.
And I can see, I got buddies of mine that used to deer hunt, and they got into turkey hunting, and now they're like, dude, I'd much rather turkey hunt than
It's
deer hunt.
crazy, and I know the type. And there's people that deer hunt that never care about a turkey, but it's the engagement.
Well, I tell you what, honestly, I really, I love turkey hunting over deer hunting. And that's just a personal opinion on myself. Because
it's so engaging.
It's so
three-dimensional.
Yeah.
I equate deer hunting with a bow, and I love it. But it's bowling. You have 12 pins, you have a lane, you're trying to throw a hook, you don't make the shot, you're trying to pick it up.
Yeah.
Turkey hunting, I equate to golf. You chip, you putt, you have a driver, you have your mid-irons, your
love
long
that
irons.
analogy.
I
love it.
Yeah, it's a lot more engaging.
Yeah.
It is. Absolutely, it is. Whether it's quiet or what, you can have fun sitting there by yourself under a tree and nothing going on. And I'm just gonna run this call. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna run this one. I'm gonna pick this one up and run this one. I'm gonna have a drink of water. I'm gonna eat my bologna sandwich. I'm gonna take a nap, and then I'm gonna wake up, and then I might hear a bird gobble. It's three-dimensional. Yeah. Deer hunting to me, and I don't want to offend anybody because I love deer hunting, but it's more one-dimensional to me than turkey hunting. Yeah. You're working off patterning, which you can do turkey hunting, and you're working off scent, and that's deer hunting. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can grunt, you can rattle. We have some success. We all know limited success, but a deer's number one sense of communication or means of communication is through scent, more than anything else they do. Yep. It's not their eyesight. It's not their hearing.
Yeah.
So in turkeys, it's their eyesight and their hearing, and they can't smell.
Right.
Thank God.
What is
They'd be almost unkillable.
Oh, yeah, we've always talked about
What's
that.
your YouTube, social media,
Oh, my
and
gosh.
everything else?
Hunt Quest is on the Mossy Oak Go app. Woohoo! Really
Awesome.
proud of that.
Yep.
It's on YouTube as well. I've got a ton of instructional stuff on YouTube. I have Mouth Call Magic 1 and 2, which are mouth call instructional DVDs. They're available at scottelishunting.com. And I did an app last year called Turkey Tech. It's on Google Play and the App Store. It's called
Awesome.
Turkey Tech with Scott Ellis. And it goes into these calls. It goes into a short, not a book, but a short detailed dissertation of what the call is and when I should use it as a hunter. It has wild turkeys making the sounds. It has me making the sounds, and plus it has a recorder built
That's
into
awesome.
the app where you can.
That's very
you
important,
can
by the way.
And then play it against turkeys or play it against me for if you want.
That's really
Is there
important.
a difference?
You caught me off guard. Whoa, no, there is slightly, but
But I tell you what, we're gonna have to have you back because we got a lot
Definitely
more
in the spring,
questions.
for
Yeah,
sure.
spring.
Oh, my
definitely
gosh,
we'll
we
have
could-
a blast because we could talk about shotguns, and
patterning
and all that.
optics,
Yeah.
and roosting, and midday, and we could have a blast.
This has probably been our longest podcast we've had so far, but it was
Definitely
amazing.
informative.
Yeah,
Well, I
absolutely.
appreciate it.
Ton, just
I
in that
appreciate
short
it,
time.
guys.
Absolutely. So go make sure you guys go to the link below and check out Scott Ellis and go to backlashpodcast.com for more information. We appreciate you guys watching and listening. Scott, thank you very much, brother.
Oh my gosh, thank
It's
you so much
awesome
for having me,
every time.
guys.
Nope.
I've had a
Thank you very much,
blast.
so.
So we'll catch you guys later.
See ya.